What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host and DC sports fan, Ben Robertson, and on this page, we break down all the biggest headlines surrounding the Washington Wizards. So, as always, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Drop your comments with any thoughts you might have on this video or anything you want to hear me talk about in the future. Appreciate all the support here on the page, you guys. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Keep tuning in. Videos typically dropping every single weekday. I will be taking tomorrow off, maybe a day next week as well. Stay tuned. We'll be back either next Monday or Tuesday. So at the end of this video, I'll be wishing you not only a happy Commanders game day, but also a happy weekend. Again, appreciate the support here on the page, you guys. Today, I want to talk about our guy from SI, Bryson Atkins. He has began a player grade series starting with Alex Sarr. We'll discuss his mark for Alex Sarr's rookie campaign. Then moving on with Alperen Sengun dominating the Eurobasket tournament. Kind of pains me to think the Wizards could have landed him in the draft. We'll move on after that to take a look at some of the other draft misses from the former regime here in DC. And lastly, I want to tell you what has kind of signaled to me that the culture of that former regime has shifted with Will Dawkins and Michael Winger and this just new front office here in town. Again, no show the next couple of days, back either next Monday or Tuesday, and just appreciate all the support once again here on the page, you guys. Alex Sarr gets a B minus from Bryson Akins in his 2024-2025 player grade series. Before I maybe dive into the grade itself, I want to talk about a couple points that Bryson makes in that article that I think are really good ones. Obviously, a lot has been made by myself included about the percentages from his rookie year. Just not good enough. 39% from the floor, 30% from three-point land, only made 45% of his two-pointers, and those numbers just have to be increased for Alex Sarr. But what this article references is something that I really like. It doesn't have to become 50, 40, 90 shooting splits for Alex Sarr. If he can get to a place where he's 50, 35, and 80%, that would be really good and a huge improvement. I'm not sure he's going to get maybe to landing, going from 39% from the floor to 50% in 1 year. But again, he doesn't have to be this Kevin Durant level scorer. He just has to be a non-negative player on the offensive end to go along with some of his other tools. Another thing the article references is that Sarr could have the chance, kind of depending on how things shake out, to be the second option on the roster this year. I'm not quite sure. I've said this also before, what the pecking order is going to be. I think there's a lot of different guys that can put the ball in the basket, to be quite honest, on this roster. And I'm not sure how that's all going to work out with maybe not a clear distributor with that group. But I think there's a bunch of players that can score. And again, while, I know Sarr is going to get a lot of touches and a lot of chances, I think the biggest thing I've taken away from his Eurobasket action, and I know it got cut short, but with Sarr, I think less is more. And I think he needs to kind of embrace the mindset that I know we want him to be a good scorer and become a really good one, but it doesn't need to be his top priority. He can lean into the things that he's really good at already, whether that's, passing out of the pick and roll in the high post, whether that's grabbing offensive rebounds and just, throwing dunks back down. Maybe, turning defense with some of his shot blocking, and sometimes he can just grab the ball right out of the air into offense and creating transition that way. I think he can lean into some of that stuff. And look, let Cam Whitmore, let Trey Johnson, let CJ McCollum be ISO scorers, and you can be great in the NBA, I think, as a big man, especially with some of his tools, without being, a 25, 28 point per game scorer. I think he could still be a really elite X Factor type player. And I think, again, I realize it sounds like I'm telling him to do maybe more of the dirty work and less flashy stuff. And in part, I am, but I really think that mentality will help him a ton. That was probably one of my biggest takeaways from the Eurobasket tournament. But I want to move on and sort of sticking on Eurobasket, to be quite honest. Alperen Sengun, of course, has just been dominating over there, and it's just been really impressive to watch. And it kind of makes me think, wow, Washington could have had this guy, literally one pick away. Um, in fact, picked Corey Kispert one pick before, I should really say, before Sengun. And I get it. Stuff like this happens. The draft, it's a little bit of a luck process. It really is. So you have to get a little bit lucky. And honestly, if you look back at that 21 draft class, it's kind of a stacked order. If you just look at the top 7 picks, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs, Josh Giddey, and Jonathan Kaminga. And, I don't necessarily fault, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to knock Corey Kispert. I think there was maybe a little bit more excitement about him coming out of college, but still, I do think he is a solid NBA player, but he's not Alperen Sengun, I have to say. And while I don't necessarily fault the individual draft miss, it's the totality of just failures from the Grunfeld and Shepard eras. And the other thing too there is that with Tommy Shepard being named, he took over the interim GM tag in 2019. In 2021, in fact, was extended and added the president title to his name. Like many others, like it just didn't really make sense that things seemed pretty mismanaged for a long time, and then Grunfeld leaves, and it's just his right hand man who takes over, and things didn't really seem to get much better, especially not in the draft. Let's look at the first round picks from the Shepard era. 2019, you pick ninth overall Rui Hachimura, actually maybe the best one of the few names I'm gonna list here. Did go before All-Star Tyler Hero, but I love Rui's game. I think he's kind of the perfect role player scoring option. I was sad to see him go, to be quite honest. But then you move forward a year and you have Denny Avdia with the number 9 overall pick again in 2020. Tyrese Halliburton went 12th overall in that draft. Tyrese Maxey went 21st overall. Again, I've referenced in 2021, Corey Kispert goes right before Sengun. And then the capper here really is, we all know, the Johnny Davis pick in 2022, 10th overall, a couple spots before now NBA champ Jalen Williams, and never panned out. It was pretty clear right away that pick wasn't going to work out. And again, I realize drafting is a bit of luck. Some misses are okay. But when the one of the biggest failures of the Wall Beal era was that you couldn't build through the draft to put the proper talent around them. I mentioned yesterday, Jan Vesely, Otto Porter Jr. Again, I realize it's a little bit unlucky, but those were 2 huge draft misses that really would have boosted, again, that whole era of Wizards basketball if they had sort of panned out up to their draft status. And when that was one of the biggest failures of the previous regime, and it just hasn't gotten any better, and it just year after year, it seems like you're passing up all-star level talent for players that just aren't that, to be quite honest. It's just not good enough. And one of the signs that I think has maybe signaled to me a culture change or a culture shift here with the Will Dawkins, Michael Winger era is that instead of missing out on All Stars going a pick later, the draft just seems, especially in those mid-range picks, just so much more valued, and just understanding that serious talent can be found in those spots. One a great example of this for me, Keyshawn George, drafted 24th overall, originally by the Knicks, traded on draft night to the Wizards, and he's become one of the more promising young players the team has. And again, was found in a place of just complete value in the draft. And hopefully that's a sign of things to come. So excited for where this organization is headed. I'll keep you posted on all the moves Will Dawkins and co make. So make sure you stay tuned, hit those like and subscribe buttons, drop your comments down below with any thoughts you might have on the video or anything you want to hear me talk about in the future. Again, enjoy Commanders game day here this short week Thursday night. If you're seeing this over the weekend, hope you're enjoying that as well. Again, guys, appreciate all the support here on the page, and thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.